In 1992, visionary director John Woo directed the action masterpiece, Hard Boiled. Within the film is an action sequence where Inspector Tequila, played by Chow Yun-fat, is engaged in a brutal gunfight while holding a baby. Around that time, writer and illustrator Michael Davis was going to film school at the USC School of Cinematic Arts. Davis loved Hard Boiled and thought the scene with the action hero holding a baby would be a great idea to flesh out into an entire film. While he was at USC, he befriended Don Murphy, who after film school went on to be a very successful producer. In 1994, Davis wrote and directed his first feature, Beanstalk, for Moonbeam Entertainment, the family division of Full Moon. He followed that up in 1997 with the comedy 8 Days a Week, but he really wanted to make an action movie. In the late 90s, he wrote a script for the ultimate gun movie. He found a lot of action movies to be downright boring.
Shoot, muzzle flash, people running in, more cops showing up, storming the building, cop cars pulling up. Boring, boring.
So when he wrote his script, he put 3 rules in place. First, the movie was to have no explosions. Second, every action scene had to be gun-centric. And third, he wanted to include as many variations of gunfights as possible. He called the script the one that made the most sense, Shoot 'em Up. While Davis was writing the script, he kept thinking of one person as the lead character, Smith, Clive Owen. He saw Owen in the film Croupier and dreamed of being able to get him on board. He began to shop the script around in 1999, but unfortunately, on April 20th, the Columbine High School massacre happened. With everything from violent movies to violent video games being blamed, no studio would even look at the script. Slightly disheartened, Davis returned to romantic comedies with 100 Girls and Girl Fever. However, while this was going on, he continued to look for a home for Shoot 'em Up. Being an illustrator and having some free time, he began to draw the action scenes for the film on his Wacom tablet. He drew over 17,000 individual frames, imported them into iMovie, and animated them. What he had now was 15 minutes of action scenes from the proposed movie he could use to sell the script to a studio. He tried to do the film with various lower budget production houses, but it was clear the movie was well beyond the scope of what they could afford. After 3 or 4 years of trying to get the film funded as an indie production, Davis realized it wasn't going to happen. He contacted his old friend Don Murphy in the hopes of getting the interest of a bigger studio. Murphy loved it, and he passed the script in animatics to producer Rick Benatar and Susan Montford. Everyone they showed it to loved it. They decided to take it to New Line Cinema and were able to get it in front of the president of the company, Toby Emmerich. He also loved it and showed it to Bob Shea, the VP of New Line, who wanted the film greenlit immediately. Now at New Line, they worked on casting. They sent the script to Clive Owen, who upon hearing about it, didn't think the movie was right for him. That all changed when he read the script. He thought it was one of the most unique things he had ever read, and set up a meeting with the director. They showed him the animatics, and he signed on immediately. For the role of the villain Hertz, one of the executives suggested Paul Giamatti. Giamatti was excited because early in his career, when he had hair, he often played villains, but now that he was balding, he usually played a good guy, or the everyman. Davis wanted Monica Bellucci to play Donna Quintano, because on top of being beautiful, he knew he could count on getting her to yell in Italian.
Non posso credere, ma è possibile che ogni volta che ti vedo c'è un problema? Ma in che accidenti di casino mi trovo per colpa tua? Mi spieghi? Ma mi ascolti,
I don't understand a word you're going on about, but I know exactly what you're saying, and I refuse to apologize.
The gun manufacturer Hammerson was played by the always versatile Stephen McHattie. Peter Powell, the cinematographer for Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, saw the animatics and immediately wanted to work on the film. Davis was a fan of Looney Tunes and thought of a brilliant angle for the script. What if the structure of this action movie was really Bugs Bunny versus Elmer Fudd?
What's up, Doc?
Oh, you're a wascally wabbit.
Davis was excited because this was his first big-budget studio picture. With a $39 million budget and a shooting schedule of 55 days, they started filming. However, a movie of this scope would normally have had twice the budget due to the overwhelming amount of action sequences. In order to keep things within budget, they had to shoot fast. They couldn't afford to go over even a single day, so they had to get their scenes in as few takes as possible. While this was hectic, it added to the frenetic non-stop pace of the film. The movie took place in Detroit, but they filmed it in Toronto, Canada. The building Smith lives in was an abandoned bread factory. The owner rented it out to studios for production space. They had different sets built on different floors. The baby in the movie was newborn twins they switched off and only shot with a few minutes at a time. The rest of the time it was either an animatronic or a stunt baby. They had 2 animatronic babies and 3 stunt babies. Most of the time when Smith's carrying the baby around, it's really a doll with the digital face replacement. The movie originally started with Smith delivering a baby in the middle of a gunfight. They decided they needed to give the movie a little bit more setup. So they went back and shot some scenes with Smith seeing the pregnant woman and what led up to that point. The character of Smith was an homage to the man with no name from the Sergio Leone movies. He's a hero that shows up from out of nowhere, saves the day, and moves on. Smith was referred to as a blue-collar James Bond, and Donna Quintano was the trash Bond girl. The first gun he uses is a Walther PPK, a gun famously used by Bond. It doesn't work and he throws it away.
What a piece of crap.
This was a goof on the Bond franchise because Owen lost out on the role in Casino Royale to Daniel Craig. Giamatti's character was supposed to be an obsessed hitman who has no time for his personal appearance. Because of this, they gave him a bad comb-over and a poorly shaved goatee. While he was working on the movie, he was nominated for an Oscar for Cinderella Man, so he had to do all these interviews and arrive on the red carpet with bad hair and a half-shaven face, which led to people thinking that something was wrong with him. For the gun joke that Hertz tells,
You know why a gun is better than a wife?
Dunno.
You can put a silencer on a gun.
Davis got the joke from an NRA humor site. There were about 200 different guns in the film. Another way to set the film apart from every other action film was to have Smith use his guns like tools. Instead of just shooting everyone, he shoots a file cabinet to knock out a henchman, shoots the baby's umbilical cord, shoots out the table legs to make a ramp, and so on. The movie's filled with great gags. One such had Smith shooting out a sign that spelled "fuck you." The director had a contest with the production team as to who could come up with a sign to spell out "fuck you" and then "two." Two people in the department came up with "Folk Truck and Tool." Beyond Smith's constant Bugs Bunny chewing, you had Donna Quintano, or DQ, the lactating hooker. The producers suggested having Hertz's ringtone be Flight of the Valkyries, also known as
Kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit.
They got the rights from Warner Brothers to use Looney Tunes in the movie, but at the last minute, they realized what the movie was and revoked the rights, so they had to change the ringtone to how you hear it now. Since Giamatti is a smaller guy, they purposefully gave him the biggest handgun, a Desert Eagle, a big car, and a big cell phone. The ice cream shop at the end was designed to look like a nipple. Davis was proud that his film was the first one to have a full-blown gunfight happen during a sex scene. 4 years later, Drive Angry would do the same thing. The scene where Smith is shooting the bad guys with guns wired up with string was inspired by the children's book Big Ball of String. The blood splat on the camera was an homage to Gears of War. There was a BMW joke in the film. Clive Owen had a working relationship with the company and asked to change the line from BMW to luxury car. Giamatti even goofed on his Golden Globe-nominated film Sideways.
Fuck me sideways.
When Giamatti's rushing towards the camera, the director said he felt like he was in a Sam Raimi film. Giamatti told him he loved Raimi and would do anything to be in an Evil Dead movie. The actress who got spanked by Clive Owen loved it and bragged all her friends how she was actually getting paid to let Clive Owen spank her. Davis couldn't believe he was able to get Oscar-nominated Paul Giamatti to feel up a corpse. Giamatti just laughed and said it was the best love scene he ever had in a movie. Since there was an overwhelming amount of people being shot in the film, they spent $70,000 on blood squibs. There was a ridiculous 151 people killed in the movie. The original ending was just Smith kissing Donna, but after screening it, it just didn't feel right. The studio gave them some additional funds to film the brief action sequence at the end. After filming, they moved into post. The movie originally had a basic action movie orchestral score. One day, Davis saw the music editor, and for the shootout in Smith's apartment, he had played Motorhead's Ace of Spades as a temporary score. Seeing how well this fit, Davis had the score changed to rock. The studio liked this and gave him some extra money to buy the rights for more music. With bands like Nirvana, AC/DC, Wolfmother, and Motley Crue, this definitely made the film feel way more energetic. There were times when the studio was getting worried about the production, thinking that maybe they needed to dial back the insanity. Owen didn't want them to ruin the film, so he went to the executives and told them to knock it off. He believed in the director's vision and didn't want them screwing it up. Thankfully, he was a big enough star at the time, so they listened. The movie was screened and the audience loved it. When Hertz gets killed, the audience cheered. Giamatti was overjoyed because he said this was one of his goals as an actor, to be so hated that the audience would applaud your death. The movie opened on September 7, 2007, in 4th place. It went on to gross only $26 million worldwide. The general consensus was the trailers and marketing for the film made it look like any generic run-of-the-mill action movie, when really, it was the furthest thing from it. After the film hit home video, it was a huge hit, and word-of-mouth spread, saving the movie from obscurity. As of currently, this was Davis's first and last studio picture. After the movie bombed, he didn't do anything in the industry until years later when he produced 22 episodes of ENTV. Shoot 'Em Up is an excellent action flick. It was the shot in the arm the genre needed, but unfortunately, no one noticed. Clive Owen was great as the carrot-chomping hero, and Giamatti was outstanding as the obsessed, creepy assassin. The movie's ingenious with its cleverly designed action sequences and hilarious humor. It's also one of the fastest-paced films ever, with almost no downtime between action scenes. Also, thanks to editors that know what they're doing, the film's cut in a way that you can actually see the action, as opposed to the currently popular cut every second so you have no clue what's going on. Shoot 'Em Up is an action movie that other action movies should aspire to be. The director called it Run Lola Run with Guns. I can't think of a better way to describe it. Well, maybe Bugs' Revenge.
My God, do we really suck? Or is this guy really that good? Come on, boys!